Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here to rank what I consider to be my top 10 Shout Studios and Scream Factory 4Ks in my collection, with the caveat I'm not going to include anything Halloween or by John Carpenter. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so Shout Studios, Scream Factory 4Ks, I'm going to use those names interchangeably. They are ostensibly the same company. And what I'm going to do, it would have been so easy, like it would have just been so generic to get on here and talk about the Halloween 4Ks, things like Escape from New York or Village of the Damned or They Live, anything John Carpenter, anything Halloween. So I'm going to leave those out. Those are not open for this ranking. They kind of like go without saying. Those have all been great. I want to look at some others. And I have these ranked subjectively and objectively, both. I mean, I'm taking into consideration how damn good the 4Ks are and just how much I personally like the movie for whatever reason. So they're in an order, but it's not a hard fast. I just think these are 10 of the best that I have from Scream Factory, excluding those others. So let's jump right into it. Number 10, pretty recent release, Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is a solid 3-disc set. I really enjoyed the restoration here. You have the version with the other elements in there as well that you could watch. The reason they didn't put those in 4K is they were bad. Those elements are bad, and if you bring those up to 4K, it's just going to continue to look worse and worse and worse. But you have everything you want from this. You have new, you have the new restoration with the high definition inserts in some places, and you can see where those are if you want to watch that version. But you have the theatrical version, you have the unrated version of this movie. You have lots of extras. It is a fun movie, and I still love this artwork right here. I really had a lot of fun with this, and it's just one of my favorites. I love looking at it. I keep it turned out most of the time where you can see it. I just think it's super cool. It comes in at number 10 on the list. Now, the next one on the list at number 9 is one I've talked about before. I think it's pretty close to a reference quality 4K. I can't really nitpick on it, and the movie is so fun. It brings in movie theater vibes. It brings in Catherine Mary Stewart, who I've mentioned a lot of times on this channel. Growing up, she definitely had my attention. So does this 4K. I am talking about Night of the Comet. It doesn't get more 80s, I feel like, than this movie. I've got 2 slipcovers. I actually prefer this slipcover. I think it's cool. But you have a 2-disc set here. And this one's also loaded. It has, a lot of stuff that was ported over, sure, from the Blu-ray, but it's got a new 4K scan and restoration from the original camera negative. You got your Dolby Vision on here. This thing looks great, and this movie is so damn fun. I mean, it's basically 2 sisters. She works, Catherine Mary Stewart works in a movie theater, so you have these whole movie theater vibes. It's set around, like, Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. They basically have to survive a zombie apocalypse in some ways. So you have movie theater stuff. They go to a mall. You've got that. Kelly Maroney is in here. This is just a fun movie, and I think it's just one that you have to... That is Kelly Maroney, right? I'm not losing my mind. Yeah. From Chopping Mall. I love this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. And it comes in on the list at number 9. Now, at number 8 on the list is a werewolf movie. And for some people, this one would probably be higher in their collection. Don't get me wrong, I love this film, and I love Joe Dante. But coming in at number 10, 9, 8 is The Howling. This is a damn good 4K, too. You got a 2-disc set here. It's got a restoration that was actually done by Studio Canal in 2021. It is rare, and that's another reason it's a little further down the list. Most of the time, I would say probably 90% of the time, Shout Studios, Scream Factory about 90% of the time, they do their own restoration. So it's rare for them to get one from someone else, but it does happen. But if you're going to get one from somebody else, Studio Canal is a pretty good one to get it from. This is a nice transfer here, and you've got a new audio commentary. You got the commentary with Dee Wallace and Joe Dante on here. For a lot of people, this is their favorite werewolf movie ever. For me, it's top 3 or 4. I've done my werewolf ranking list, and you can check that out on the channel as well. But it is one of my favorites. I can't say whether or not it is my favorite, but I do love The Howling, and Joe Dante just had this way of making you wait, knowing the scare was coming, and then boom, it gets you. And it has a great werewolf transformation in here too. Everybody talks American Werewolf in London, but there is a great one in here that you feel the pain of the transformation in this one. So The Howling, for my money, is a top 10 scream and shout release on 4K. It comes in at number 8. At number 7 on the list is one that I hadn't seen in a really long time, like since I was probably like 11, 12 years old. And my man Daniel over at the Cobwebs channel had talked about it, and I was like, I'm going to get that 4K as soon as it came out. And wow, am I glad I did, because this movie knocked my socks off. I recommend it to anyone who will listen. One of the most underrated performances ever in a movie, maybe, by Terry O'Quinn in this movie. I am talking about The Stepfather. Dude, if you've never seen this movie, run, don't walk. Watch it somehow. I don't care if you got to stream it first, whatever, to decide if you want to buy the 4K. First, the 4K is outstanding. I mean, this movie it takes place around the fall. You have a lot of fall vibes. You've got fall leaves blowing this way and that. And man, does the 4K set that all off. But the first 3 minutes of this movie, you are not ready for. I promise you. Terry O'Quinn plays basically a serial killer. He wants the idyllic, perfect American family, the white picket fence, all that kind of stuff. But the minute it starts going just even the tiniest, slightest bit wrong, like maybe, I mean, hell with him, it could be they're arguing over, they can't decide what they want for dinner or something like it, and it just spirals. Does he just leave and move on and try again? No, he has to kill everybody on his way out. And he transforms his identity. This movie is so good. The final girl in this is really, high recommend. And this 4K is so good. Give this movie a chance. It is damn good film with an outstanding acting performance. So for that reason, it comes in at number 10987. All right, coming in at number 6 on the list, it had to be here. I had it out in the wrong order. But this is one of my all-time favorite movies, Anthology. Love it. Modeled. It inspired me so much, this and Trick or Treat, for my film Creature Feature. And the 4K on this is just so good. And then they put it out in a steel book that I had to get a Blockbuster box set slip to protect. I am talking about Creepshow. I mean, come on. This thing is bad to the bone. This steel book is incredible. The 4K is incredible. And you got a 2-disc set here. And the artwork on this steelbook is spot glossed. This is just an outstanding 4K release of a classic film. Of course, you got Stephen King and Romero and all that kind of stuff. But man, this is an absolute classic that's a must-own. And the fact that it is so good, and this steelbook is just out of sight awesome. All that combined, it has to be in the top 10. It could be higher, but I kind of put it down. Really, this top 10, you're splitting hairs, and it could change daily depending on when you find me on this. But Creepshow in the top 10 for right now. It's in our mid spot here at number 6, and I can't recommend getting it enough. All of these are high recommends, just outstanding work. Got to protect that bad boy. Comes in at number 109,876. Yes, the halfway point. All right, coming in at number 5 is one of the best 4Ks I've seen too. If you want something that's going to show off color in your 4K setup, and something that you can have a mindless good time with, that like really everybody in the family could watch this one. It's a good gateway horror, if you want to say that. I am talking about Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Yeah, I got the Blockbuster box set again because I had to have something to protect this beautiful 4K. This is one of the very first videos I did on my channel when this released. Was a totally killer release because it was just so awesome. It's hard to tell on here, but it is spot glossed. But this 4K, it's reference quality, and the colors that it shows off, because the circus, the clowns, everything, the killer clowns stop by for a bite in our on planet Earth. And this movie's fun, it's camp, it's all those things, and it is a knock your socks off 4K. Undoubtedly one of the best, like absolute reference quality that they put out. Of course, I don't have the J card with me right here, so I can't remember who did the slip. I keep all my J cards, though. I keep them in a box, in a container that I put in my attic right at the top of the steps, so I can go up there and get it at any time. But this one is so much fun. The steelbook, if you can still find it, is absolutely incredible. The 4K reference quality, if you want something to show off color of a 4K system, Killer Clowns from Outer Space will do it, and then you have a good time while you're there because it's batshit crazy, and it comes in at number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 4 on our list is another one that I reviewed, I don't know, about 5-6 months ago when it came out. This steelbook is awesome. I've got it protected with another slip, but this 4K, I did a deep dive review of this, pointed out details that are just insane that you can see in this 4K. And I am talking about Return of the Living Dead. Holy smokes. There's my box set protector. This 4K steelbook is awesome. Look at that artwork. Of course, the Tarman. I should have wore my Tarman hat. I'm a Tarman fan. Got my Tarman hat from, I think Fright Rags is where I got that. But this movie's so much fun. I watch it around the 4th of July every year. It's a summer watch. Sometimes I'll end up watching it more than once, but definitely I'm going to watch it around the 4th of July. This is an absolute reference quality 4K, and this is a big 3-disc set here. This thing is absolutely loaded. And if you want to check out that review, I'll try to maybe link some of these down in the comments section to some of the individual reviews I did of these if you guys want to see them at your fingertips and go and decide if you want to buy them, because I high recommend all these. No, Scream and Shout don't give me anything. I'm not sure they give anybody anything, which makes them a good target for a lot of people on YouTube for criticism, because if you're not getting anything for free, it's just easier to criticize. They don't send anybody anything. I don't care. This thing is awesome. I know a lot of people are down on Shout and Scream because really a lot of people are down on them because they bought all the Blu-rays they put out back in the day. But, I mean, nobody knew 4K was coming like this. So that's not really their fault that a new format came out and now we're doing those things. But, I have been so impressed with the 4Ks that I've gotten from them. And this one is close to the top of the list. You can see it's number 4 on here. I don't really know how to split these at the top because I love all these movies and I love all these 4Ks. So, but Return of the Living Dead, you see Linnea Quigley in all her glory. The Tar Man, worth the price of admission. It comes in at number 4 on our list. Number 3 on our list, you see me, I'm like, this is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, top 10 or 15 favorite movies of all time. I promise to redo that list every year. My top 25 movies as I grow and change. We like different things. And as I expand and explore new movies through Vinegar Syndrome and doing my Criterion Closet critiques and through recommendations and all, as I expand more, I promise to redo my top 25 movies of all time, favorites of all time each year. But this movie I can't see ever moving off of that list. I am talking about Point Break. I got the Blockbuster block sets here for this too. I like to protect my steel books because despite the fact they're steel, they're pretty fragile. They dent easy. But this thing is bad to the bone. That is an awesome steel book. I'm not even a huge. It doesn't have to be steel book. I love steel books. I love slip covers. I'm gonna get whichever one I like the best. But like in Killer Clowns, I liked it so much I bought both. I bought the slipcover. I bought the steelbook. This thing is awesome. This is one of my favorite. Of course, it's Catherine Bigelow, and it is Catherine Bigelow, but it's also James Cameron. James Cameron was on set famously every single day. You can definitely feel James Cameron in this movie. That's not to try to take anything away from Catherine Bigelow, but I think it was actually Tony Scott that was originally supposed to direct this. You guys have to look me up. It's either Tony Scott or Ridley Scott, I believe, that was supposed to direct this initially. And then Catherine Bigelow got it. Cameron is a producer on this, but Cameron was on set with her every single day. So you definitely feel his presence. But she did a great job on this. I love Near Dark that she did. And this is just one of my favorite all-time movies. I'm a massive Keanu fan. Of course, I'm a huge Swayze fan. And this is just like, this was California to me growing up, all those things. I just absolutely love this movie. Hey, Utah, get me two. Point Break, I love it. I love the movie. It comes in at number 3 on this list. That just leaves 2, and it's very hard. Because number 2 is probably my favorite werewolf film of all time. I'm talking about Silver Bullet. Now, I'll tell you what knocks it down. I had to start splitting hairs because this is a reference quality 4K here. And this is a 2023 new restoration and transfer from the original camera negative with Dolby Vision and all that. It's the artwork. It's just so plain. It doesn't really represent the movie to me in a lot of ways. This movie, I like the atmosphere they're trying to go for, but it's so much black, you can't really see anything. The small town atmosphere that Stephen King is famous for creating, that creepy small town, the creepy small town atmosphere. I did a whole video on that because I love that so much. It's here in spades. Gary Busey turns in one of his best performances ever. Of course, you have Corey Haim here. You got werewolves. I love how they do it. Surprisingly violent in a lot of places and scary. I have always loved this movie. Of course, I'm an 80s kid, so it had Corey Haim in there, and it had Stephen King combined. I was in back then from the beginning, but as I've grown up, the Stephen King, the story, the small town atmosphere, the Gary Busey stuff kind of take over all of that. And then you get the 4K that's just absolutely outstanding here by Scream Factory. Cannot recommend this one enough. This is a must own in your collection. If you haven't seen it, if you don't own it, this is the way to own it. You're going to get a Blu-ray with it, so why not just go ahead and get the Blu-ray 4K, future-proof yourself. I'm going to give this lecture. I'm not a Blu-ray hater. I'm a filmmaker, though, and I edit and everything else, and when you start to get better and better and bigger TVs, OLEDs, and you expand the size of those TVs, and those TVs get bigger and bigger and better and more concentrated and more detailed, Blu-rays are going to start to look not as good on those because you're going to stretch those pixels, and you're going to, no matter how good that Blu-ray is, it has a fourth of the amount of pixels in the same space as a 4K. So as that stretches out, it's going to degrade the picture, y'all. And for a few bucks, you can't go later and complain if you buy a Blu-ray only now, later that you need a 4K when they stop offering Blu-rays out and stuff like that. And then it doesn't look as good on your TV. So just remember that. For a few dollars, you can get both here. You can get both. So I highly recommend this one. And Silver Bullet comes in at number 2 on the list. So what is number 1? Number 1, we got Joe Dante coming in again on this movie. One of the best 4Ks I've ever seen, regardless of genre, regardless of who did it, regardless of the restoration, the boutique, or whatever it came from. And I love this movie. It captures movie theater vibes, nostalgia. I love the 80s. I love the 50s. Those are two of the most iconic times in America. Into the 60s, it kind of carried in. I think this movie takes place at like right on that edge, like 1962. So you're right around the Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff. I'm talking about Matinee. This is one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen from anybody, anywhere. And this movie is so much fun. The high dynamic range in this thing is super tested because they're in a movie theater with all these bright primary colors, and they're in there watching a black and white TV or black and white movie screen, and it shows a lot of this in wide shots. So to get those colors, the dynamic range and the color pops for all these primary red, blues, yellows, and then all this stuff that they have in the theater. And then to have the black and white look great down there at the far end of that shot, that happens a lot in this movie. That's crazy hard. You guys have no idea how hard that is to get right. Like, that is so damn impressive. And then outside with marquees lit up and stuff like that at nighttime, and then you've got to get good light on people's faces. They're standing under marquees, and then make that look good with the dynamic range and the shadows and the lights. I'm telling you, there are things that stress an HDR or Dolby Vision grade. And this thing is also loaded with features. You have a new restoration from the original camera negative. It was supervised and approved by Joe Dante. So that adds a lot to it. It's got Dolby Vision. It's got Dolby Atmos for all you guys that want that. It's got it's got a couple new audio commentaries. You're going to get everything again on the Blu-ray. You're going to get new interviews with actresses and actors from the movies. You're going to get a vintage making of. This thing is absolutely loaded, deleted, extended scenes. Everything you want is here. Incredible cover art. I think that's the original poster. That is by far the best art there, and I absolutely adore this movie. It's so much fun. It's got a coming-of-age rom-com, like romantic thing underneath it all. It's got historical elements. It's got movie theaters. John Goodman is basically playing your William Castle type character here. So much fun. There is nothing not to love about this movie. And then you get a 4K that is absolutely one of the best I've ever seen. High recommend Matinee. It comes in at number 1 on our list. And that is my list of my top 10 non-Carpenter, non-Halloween related 4Ks from Shout Factory, Shout Studios, Scream Factory. Same place, y'all. It's the same place. It's just a sub-label. But I absolutely... honestly, for the heat they take, I think they probably have a lot of the movies that I remember seeing in the VHS rental stores, like the mom and pop rental stores, even before Blockbuster and Hollywood Video became a thing. They have a lot of those movies. And I dig that about them. And I mean, I'm on a mission to get every Scream Factory 4K over time that is put out. I think they do some of the best restoration. I think Vinegar Syndrome and Scream Factory / Shout Studios have the best 4K restorations in the business. 100%. From an objective, like, filmmaker's standpoint, I think they do. And overall, I mean, Arrow does good work too, but they buy a little bit more stuff and everything else. And so does Criterion. They buy almost everything. And Kino has Kino is up and down sometimes. So I think these are great. They're fun movies. They're great 4Ks. What else could you ask for? And that's my list. We do all kinds of things here. We do lists and rankings like this, just talking physical media stuff. We do 4K reviews of these things. I'll try to put some of those down in the list if you want to dive in a little deeper to some of these. And we do big movie lists and recommendations. People seem to love those. I love recommended movies, especially ones that maybe you might have missed, because I have seen a lot of movies in my life. And I do it all from a fan and a filmmaker's perspective. It's your first time here. I make movies for a living. I have for about 20 years maybe. So that's what I do. And I love talking about them. And if that's something that you're into, please like and subscribe. It helps out the channel. If you want to help support the channel, you can join at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Become a channel member. Get your name and lights on every single video. Behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special members only videos, and so much more. And y'all, it really helps me out. And I'm way more grateful than you know. And I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
I know.